Golly, that's good.
I cracked myself up. I still haven't found my first Blantons.
That's different. I really like that. They're like together, like peas and carrots.
That's funny. Sometimes accidents are good things. Peychauds or Pechaud's or Pechaud. This is not what I expected. Hello. It is Bourbcast night, and here we go. You will notice that I already have the Benchmark Foolproof poured. Why? Well, because I had to take a photo of it today. And then while I was out, I thought, I need to do some other things. So I was out for a while, and I didn't want to leave my bourbon in a hot car. So I put it in a cooler with a couple of the ice pack thingies to keep it cool. Well, then it got cold. So I went ahead and poured it like an hour ago so it could at least come back up to room temperature so I could give it a fair tasting. Because if it's cold, what does it do? It can mute the flavors. I mean, it doesn't have to be ice. It just has to be cold. So if you put it in the fridge like some people do, you are potentially muting the flavors of the bourbon. So I had to bring it back up to room temperature, and the bottle's still cold. So when I do the rest of the tests, well, it'll be with water and it'll be with ice, so it should be fine. But this pour, I wanted this first one, this neat one, to be room temperature. So this is the Benchmark Foolproof, coming in at 125 proof. Buffalo Trace says it's called foolproof due to the fact that it's bottled at the same proof that the distillate originally enters the barrel. The highest proof that bourbon can legally enter the barrel is 125, by the way. Evaporation can lower the water content during aging, which can up that proof. So Buffalo Trace may have added a little bit of water to it to keep the proof at 125 proof. Depending on how much water it lost over the 4 years it was in the barrel. It's aged 4 years. This may be the highest proof product that Buffalo Trace puts out. I didn't check into that to be specific, but I think it's the highest proof product that Buffalo Trace puts out. And if I'm wrong, let me know. I don't mind being wrong. It's fine. We all learn when we're wrong. So let's see. Of course, hey, Paul's watching. Wild Wally Mike Schneider. How are you, sir? I'm glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. You know it. It's 75% corn, 17% malted barley, 8% rye. Got an interesting comment. I thought that the bonded showed itself as being a little more rye heavy. It's not. It's the same recipe. It's the same mash bill number 1 in all these bottles. But somebody mentioned that they thought that maybe the malted barley was bringing out some notes that would make it seem like rye notes, and I thought it was a pretty good thought. But it didn't present that way in any of the other benchmarks. So I haven't given it a lot of extra thought. It was just an interesting possibility that somebody brought up. Let's see. It is a heavy number 4 char on the Buffalo Trace barrels, and a website that I found said that it is a number 4 char used on Benchmark as well. This bottle, kind of an outlier for Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace isn't known for a bunch of barrel-proof products. They have Weller Foolproof, and 1792 is theirs as well. It isn't Buffalo Trace, but it is Sazerac, and Sazerac owns Barton Distillery, which makes 1792, and Sazerac owns Buffalo Trace. So you could say that the company has 2 foolproof options. So Weller Foolproof, 1792, but now also this one. John's watching. Hey, John. Cheers. I got a few bottles of it. Can't find here in my part of Ohio. I've been seeing more of it, so I'd say maybe check out the ohlq.com and see where they have it. Now, different ones are going to be available in different places at different times. I got lucky and I found all 6, but it took me a little while to find all 6. And I don't remember if I got them all in Ohio or not. I don't remember. This is the Foolproof. It's $22.99. So we're up $10 from the Benchmark old number 8, the one that got us started here. Where's that one? Where's that? Here it is. This is $12.99. Now we are at $22.99, and let's get a pour in here. Let's get it tasted. They give me a pretty nice pour. It does feel like it's still just a little bit cool. All right. All right, nose. Whoo, that's nice. Oh, there's all sorts of stuff happening here. This may be the most complex of them all. I think I say that every week. But, you know, it's a new pour every week. It's a new benchmark every week. Oh, the caramels on that. Caramel, if you have a degree. Nice honey on that. Cinnamons. Whew. Slightly astringent. I took a little bit too much of a whiff that time, and I felt that. I felt that yesterday. Yeah, so the Bonded is the first one that brought out a real nice honey note for me. Everything below Bonded, which would be your small batch, your top floor, and your old number 8, they kind of were a little bit more earthy, and they didn't have those sweet notes that you would typically get out of a Buffalo Trace product. You get into the Bonded, and now the Full Proof, and those sweet notes on the nose are coming out. Although the nose has been sweet all along, it's the palate that tends to be a little bit more earthy and not as sweet as the nose. This one has got a lot of sweetness happening there. There's actually a fruit note too. I'm not getting the citrus. I'm getting more of a... yeah, there's a little citrus, but there's something else too. One of my favorite fruit notes is plum, because it's sweet, but it's not too sweet. And it can have that, well, it's not too sweet. It's the best way. There's some sweetness, but it's not overly sweet. And that's either that or black cherry. Because they tend to give me similar nose. The black cherry is normally much more pronounced than the plum. Yeah, now that I got myself talking about black cherry, that's what I smell. So we're just going to go with it. All right, see what happens on the palate. Whew. Okay. I feel that going all the way down. Okay. On the palate itself, that burn didn't affect my tongue, didn't affect my cheeks, didn't affect the roof of my mouth, didn't affect the back until I swallowed it. Once it went down the gullet, and I opened my mouth and I gave it a little oxygen, it's like Godzilla putting out his atomic breath. So, whew, that's really, really interesting. That the most I got off of that bloom, that burn, happened after it went down the hatch. That doesn't happen very often. And I've been drinking the old Granddad 114. I had mentioned a couple of weeks ago I helped a neighbor out with some yard stuff that he was having trouble doing. He's 77 years old. And he was nice enough to say, hey, I'll buy you some bourbon. And he goes, what do you like? And I told him the two bottles that I really like is the old Granddad 114 and the old Overholt 114. And you know, the old Overholt's $20 right now. Old Granddad's a little more than that. But sure enough, he went out and he got them for me. So I've been drinking that old Granddad 114. This is a little hotter than that, and it presents itself as a little hotter than that too. All right, goodness gracious. All right, so I got that first one out of the way. Let's see what happens. See if I can get you some notes. Same thing. Whew. Great on the mouth. You swallow it, it goes right up into your sinuses. If you've never had St. Elmo's shrimp cocktail over in Indianapolis, their shrimp cocktail, the horseradish in that is so strong that when I was eating it, it hurt. It hurt my sinuses to eat their food. I couldn't breathe. You know the thing that you can do when you like shut off your nose to the back of your throat so you can't smell something? Like if you have to do something and it stinks terribly, you can kind of shut off your nose so you can't smell it. You can't taste anything either. I ended up doing that when I was doing the St. Elmo's shrimp, because it's craziness. Tyler's watching, Tom is watching, and Paul says, I like all the benchmark. I did a blind with all 6 one evening, but don't remember the order I liked them. That was well over a year ago. I'm going to be able to remember, because video is forever. The internet is forever. Your palate, Paul, and mine are just a little bit different, so I wouldn't be surprised if your echelon was different than mine. All right. So mouthfeel on this is not that far removed from the bonded. It's not super buttery, but it's not super thin. It's fine, right? It's not one of those things that you're going, ooh, that's silky, that's nice. No. It's good for what it is. It's a 4-year, and it's not thin, which is great. Old number 8 was a little thin. This is not. So let's go back in and see if we can find some flavors now. It's like a fire. You know, it could be starting to go down. You add a little oxygen to it. Woof. Sometimes when my fire in the back is starting to go down, I'll get out the old leaf blower. Yee! That fire just whoosh. Whew. Okay. Yeah, this is a hot one, and not when you're drinking it, but after you swallow it. This is a hot one, and maybe your experience with the full proof is different than mine. But goodness gracious, it's after I swallow it and open my mouth and let a little oxygen in. It just okay. So the bonded to me had a more well-rounded flavor. Now maybe this proof is knocking it out for me, and I'm not getting it all. Maybe we'll get it when we add a little water to it. The bonded to me had a more well-rounded profile. It had some of those citrus notes. It had some of the honey notes. It had some of that stuff. What I'm getting off of this, as it kind of goes back to the top floor, to the small batch a little bit. It's giving me a little bit more of that oaky barrel. It's giving me more of the earthier notes again. Some of that sweetness isn't there, but again, this is 125 proof, and it's a hot 125 proof. It is punching above its weight for sure. If I didn't know any better, now on the palate it's fine. On the palate it feels like 125, but afterwards, I could swear it's more than that, 140 maybe. This is a very interesting pour. If you haven't had the full proof yet, get it, try it neat, and see if you have the same experience that I'm having, because this is just, it's very rare for a high proof bourbon to do this to me, where it's great on the palate and then affects me afterwards. All right, Chris is watching. Hey, Chris. How are you, sir? I'm glad you're here. Pardon me. Okay. All right. Try to. Hopefully, we can get past the proof at some point, and if not, we'll try water on it and slow it down. Okay. So, man. Goodness, I like high proof stuff. This is just, knocking the snot out of me. All right. Okay. So, I can confirm that I'm getting a lot of those really nice oaky notes. It's bringing out a slight amount of caramel on it. Caramel, if you have a degree. And definitely black cherry is presenting itself on the palate. It's a nice note. There's a nice level of sweetness to it. It's not as well rounded to me. Again, it could be the proof that's knocking out the flavor for me. It's not as well rounded as the bonded, but the 125 full proof does have some really nice flavors. I used that in my finishing barrel last time. Chris is talking. Mixed it with Buffalo Trace, White Dog, and Weller Special Reserve. 5 months in, and so far it's finishing nicely. Threw a vanilla bean in this go around for some flavor. That would be a great idea. Vanilla bean, man. I love vanilla bean. Okay, I'm starting to... Never mind. Sometimes I have to self-censor. I know y'all probably wouldn't mind it. That's all. Okay. I was in radio for 18 years, and I've been in media now 21 years more, 23 years more. And I got a very quick mind, and my mind tends to just go to places. And, I learned a number of years ago that sometimes what goes through my mind is better left in my mind, better left inside. Lock that up. Don't let it spew. Those of you that are married know what I'm talking about. You don't have to be in radio. Sometimes you just want to go, and she's going, spit it out. And you're going, what? I want to know what you were thinking. No, you don't. Love you. Yeah, okay, couch. I get it, couch. That's referred to as having a filter. Yours is broke. I know. I didn't have a filter for a very, very long time, and business made me have it. And now other things that I'm doing, you got to be filtered. Kind of like the bourbon. Right? Okay. One more, we'll put it on water. Okay, now the more that it has set, the more I'm getting through it, the less hot it is, or the more used to it I am. Really, that honey note popped back out right then. You got to get past the heat. Once you get past the heat, it's a better pour. There's a little honey there, a little caramel popped out. A lot of what was on the nose is there. However, the palate is definitely more oaky and less sweet than the nose, which is typical of the benchmarks. Okay. I mean, all of them have been giving me that. I ought to just leave this open. And we're about to room temperature now. I'm pretty pleased with where we are on this. So, okay, a little wah-wah. That's what I used to call it when I was a kid. I needed a dinky wah-wah. That's something my mother reminded me of very often. Oh, seriously? Can't put that back in there like that. Have to get that cleaned off. It's alright. It's okay. No biggie. All right. Just because I'm curious, before we get into the water, this is the Old No. 8. Now you can see this probably as well as I can. The color of the 125 proof is significantly different than the Old No. 8. This is very clear, honey colored. This gets more into a real nice deep copper. Now this is, it's just, you're starting to get into the colors now that you want. I mean, does that really matter? To some people, yeah. I've had some great pours that weren't deep, rich colors like this. I mean, this would be a lot darker. Yeah, this is number 4 char. It'd be a lot darker if they left it in another 2 years, right? So, anyway. Okay, Larry's watching. Hey, Larry. I'm glad you've joined us today. We're doing the Weller. The Benchmark Full Proof. This is a hot one. On the palate, not as hot. Once you're done, that finish is on fire. Okay. A little water on it. Let's see what happens. It didn't lose a lot of its heat, especially afterwards. There it is again. That's the second time you've dropped the... No, it is not. It's the first time I've dropped the dropper in the glass. Stop it, Paul. But it could have gone on the bingo card? Sure. I don't remember doing it before. And if it did, then I stand corrected. But I don't think I've done it before. I think that's the first time. You'll have to remind me when I did it before, and I'll go back and look, and then I'll say, you're right, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. Sean's watching. Hey, Sean. Thank you for joining us. Paul and I are having a disagreement. He's trying to say I did stuff I didn't do. Meanie face. All right, so on water, it brings out... ooh. The nose is more like a creme brulee now. It's sweeter. Normally I don't check the nose after I put water on it, but in this case, since it's 125 proof, why not? And I only put in about a milliliter of water. The nose definitely got sweeter, but so did the palate. It's bringing out some stuff, just like the Bonded did. The Bonded got sweeter on water. This is too. Bringing out some of those extra notes that you always want, right? A little bit more complexity, a little bit more sweetness. The Buffalo Trace stuff, right? It's not a 9-year barrel. It's 4. But on water, that's pretty tasty. That's pretty nice. Just like the Bonded, I'm getting more honey with it on water. It ain't letting up, man. Whew. Do you think Benchmark, any of the line will ever become allocated? Oh gosh. If something, oh geez. I think they probably make enough of it that it shouldn't have to, and the price point's low enough. I'll tell you, and that's a great question. I'm glad you asked the question, Tyler. And I think that a sign of whether it goes into allocation would be if the price goes up. And I will tell you, I think that if it goes into allocation, it may be those lower priced pours that go first. Maybe not. There are certain pours that sell faster in liquor stores. One of those is the Evan Williams Black Label. 80 proof, great flavor, not very expensive. If there's handles in there, they're flying out. They're flying off the shelves. That one and the Kentucky Gentleman, Kentucky Gentleman, those are low proof, low price pours that fly. and people want them because, they drink a lot of it. They'll get as much of that as they can. The benchmark Old Number 8 was consistently off the shelves when the short little time I did retail. So that would be another one along those lines. But so far, none of those are allocated. Boy, I don't know. Like I said, 1792 small batch, that price didn't really go up much, and it went allocated. One per customer. So, gosh, that's a really good question. The point of the Benchmark series was to give Buffalo Trace something to put out that would get people off their butts because they couldn't put out enough Buffalo Trace and E.H. Taylor and Eagle Rare and all that stuff that's allocated. And the Wellers, all the Weller line and all that stuff. So could it be allocated? I don't know. If so, Top Floor seems to be one that I would guess might end up that way because that's the one that I don't see as often as anything else. I don't know. That's a really good question. Really good question. Michael's watching. Coachella Mike, how are you, sir? Glad you're here. Checking in. All right. One more with water, then with ice. We got to get through this because we got 3 minutes left if we're going to keep it at a half hour. I see you. Coachella Valley Mike. Andrew's watching. Hey, Andrew. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad you're here. We're doing the Benchmark Full Proof. It's a hottie. It's a hot one. I like a full proof bourbon. I like a high proof bourbon. This one is definitely one to be reckoned with. All right. Okay, this and this and this. Okay. One of your favorites. Which one? Specifically the full proof? Because, yeah. You're welcome, Tyler. I wish I had a better answer for you. I don't know. I was mystified when 1792 small batch went allocated. And there's been some other ones that went allocated. I'm like, what is going on? But here's the other thing that maybe we ought to talk about. That bourbon craze is starting to wind down. COVID's long over. 2 years post-COVID. This was a COVID thing. The bourbon boom was a COVID thing. It maybe got its start earlier than that, maybe 2019. But the real escalation of this stuff happened during COVID, and it's like the worst time to have a boom like that, right? It's terrible. But it's been growing in popularity over the years, but the last 4 years it's been insane, and that's starting to wane just a little bit. It's not enough to keep those, to make sure those allocated things aren't allocated. They're still selling a ton of it, and we're going to wait probably at least another 7 or 8 years before we see Buffalo Trace actually being able to put more Buffalo Trace, E.H. Taylor, Eagle Rare out on the shelves. Because they're doubling capacity, right? But they have to age it. It has to sit in barrels for 8, 9, 10 years, depending on what it is that they're putting out there. But just Buffalo Trace is 9 years old, ish. Some people say 7, some people say 8, some people say 9. So I'm saying 9. Okay, fine. So I don't know. That's one of those things that if you were in Vegas, you'd put odds on it, right? It's really, really tough to foresee what's going to get allocated. Tomorrow they may allocate Horse Soldier. I don't love Horse Soldier at all. I don't. It's okay. It's fine. I don't love it. Paul says, give Buffalo Trace a few more years. They did that big expansion, so hopefully allocation will disappear. Yeah, it might. It might. But, people might go crazy for it too and go out and try to buy it up. If you're in a store and it's not allocated anymore and there's no limit, like we had the Chartreuse, right? Chartreuse finally came in. I'd been there 2 months, almost 3 months, and Chartreuse came in. It was the first time I'd seen it, and it wasn't allocated. Some guy came in and bought every single one of them off the shelf, and I'm like, you jerk. I was glad I had picked up a bottle of it. And we didn't have the yellow chartreuse. We had the green chartreuse. But this is made by monks, and they started to limit what they were making, and they're the only ones with the recipe. And they just kind of slowed down. So it became very, very scarce. And this guy came in and he bought like all the chartreuse on the shelf. And I'm like, you suck. Somebody else might want a bottle of that. I didn't leave any. I bet you we couldn't stop him because it wasn't allocated. And the job was to sell bourbon, to sell alcohol, to sell the product, not to babysit it. That's what I was told. We should have put a limit on it, and we didn't. All right. Finger stir just for Paul. Let's finger stir this. Bad boy. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, you folks. I'm in a mood. Melissa's watching. Hey, Melissa, how are you? I'm glad you're here. We're finger stirring. Ow. That's for Paul. Paul and I perfected the finger stir, did we not? We did. I can't do that if I ever decided to start bartending, I wouldn't be able to do that. And I'd want to. Thanks, Paul. Even like a private event, I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd want to. It's effective, okay? I see something come up. Oh, yeah, he's laughing at me. Okay. So I got a big screen here in front of me now because I'm blind and I can't see. So, but now I'm able to, it's a big screen. It's a big screen. And I can, expand it and see stuff. So what comes up over there comes up before on my phone. So I sometimes find myself looking there. On ice. That's actually kind of nice. A lot of the heat is gone, but the complexity is still there. Matter of fact, I would say that there may be more complexity on ice, more rich depth to it than there was before. That's a tough one. Boy, I can't go back in time and relive that to assess the complexity, but yeah, that's actually pretty nice on ice. I don't do that very often. I don't like ice very often, but I think I like that. Really nice flavors. Let me see if I can find you some flavors. Little orange peel. The honey's still there. The honey's coming out bold. Caramel, little oak. Let it sit for about 2 to 3 on ice, then try it. It opens up really, really nice. All right. Okay. 2 to 3 minutes. Chris, because of you, we're extending the Bourbcast beyond 30 minutes, okay? Actually, we already have. I got people on YouTube that are pressuring me and saying that we should take this down to 5 minutes. I don't see how I can do this in 5 minutes. I don't think it's possible. Because I go through everything that I go through. I talk about what's in the bottle. I talk about what it's like in the barrel. I talk about the mash bill. I talk about a lot of stuff. I don't see how I can take this down to 5 minutes. I mean, I get today's TikTok atmosphere and the Instagram atmosphere, the Reels atmosphere. I understand it. I get it. Even YouTube is doing shorts now where they have to be like 1 minute or less. And I don't see how I can do that. I want to give you your money's worth here. It's free. Right? Chris, yeah, thank you. See you on the next one. Tyler, good to see you. Thank you for coming out. I'm glad you're here. Next week, we'll go ahead and get this out there. Next week is this one, the single barrel. This is the last one that I have in the series, and it'll be the last week of May that we'll be doing this one. This is the most expensive pour that Benchmark puts out. This is also one of the two that I've seen the most. The two that I've seen the most are the small batch and the single barrel. Where the old number 8 starts at $12.99, the single barrel goes up to $24.99. It doubles the cost. But this is a single barrel. There's no blending going on here. And so every time they do a single barrel, it's going to be limited in how many bottles they can get out of it. And every single barrel batch is going to be slightly different. This is what we're doing next week. We're going to find out why it's $24.99. The proof on this one is 95. So 47.5% alcohol by volume, 95 proof. Excuse me. So that'll be next week, Tyler, just so you have that on your radar. All right, so has it set for 2 minutes? Where are we at? It's set for 2 minutes, all right, because we started this at 7:34. Now it's 7:36. It's 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes. Finger stir for Paul. I cracked myself up. You said 2 to 3, right? 2 to 3? Yeah, 2 to 3. So maybe one more. Maybe one more. We'll get it to 7:37, and then we'll dive in. Oh, 7:37. Okay. All right. Okay. There's been 3 minutes. All right. All right. That's got, I mean, so rarely do I find that something on ice has so much flavor. This is really nice on ice. And maybe that's what Benchmark Buffalo Trace intended. I don't know. But if you're an ice guy or gal and you like your whiskey with a little ice, you like it cold, this is your Huckleberry right here. This is nice on ice. Put the single barrel up against the Blantons. You're just trying to get me to drink my Blantons. I could do that. I did take the small batch up against the Buffalo Trace because they are the same proof. This one, hands down. I mean, come on. 8 or 9 year age statement, please. But the Benchmark, small batch was tasty. It's good. And for only $17.99, you can't go wrong. Of course, for $17.99, you could spend $2 more and get the old Overholt 114. Just saying. Now, when my neighbor bought that for me, he said it was the last one in the store. So that either means that we're starting to get low on that stock. Finally, it's a 2020 release. So, and it was a special release, so it's limited. But it's taken 4 years to go through it. So that may be the end of it. Or they'll get another box. Another 12. And I'll start collecting again. Yeah, the flavors on that are really nice. On ice, it's so rare. So rare. Very good. All right, Chris, great suggestion. Thank you for leading me down that path. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Again, next week, we are going with the single barrel. And, of course, Paul has suggested now we take this up against the Blantons. I just happen to have one back there. So, okay. Why not? Let's play. All right. Hey, be safe this Memorial Day weekend. And I want to say thank you to those of you who served. I know that's not Memorial Day, that's Veterans Day. But those of you who are watching who have served, thank you. Those of you who are family members of those who served and your family members gave the ultimate sacrifice, thank you that much more, and God bless you. We will see you next Thursday. Oh, sorry. Chris, yeah, gotcha. Peace to you too, sir. We will see you next week. Again, thank you so much for watching. You could be doing anything else and you're here with me, and I deeply appreciate it. Thank you.